person you're having sex with should be able to be informed and capable of making decisions. If they are completely intoxicated out of their mind, you, as a person engaging in this act, should be aware that you're putting yourself at risk. The simple act of having sex with somebody who is so intoxicated that they cannot make a sound judgment, if you choose that route, then you also choose a risk of being charged with rape. Like, that should be an automatic. Instead of saying to the girl, well, you got drunk, so you asked for it, we need to change the language that to the man or to whomever chooses to be in that act, whether you are a male or female. You need to be aware that that opens you up to liability. The more we enforce these kinds of restrictions, the less violence and essays we'll encounter. Backtracking a little bit. So what does yes mean? That's all the folks out there. It means that your partner that you are actively having a session with, okay, needs to actively agree throughout the whole session, can revoke their agreement at any point in time. Even if you're close to and they say stop, you fucking stop. You stop. You're not an animal. You say you're not an animal. You say you're not emotional. You say you're not hormonal. These are all things that are placed on women's shoulders, that we're emotional, that we're hormonal, that we act from places of, that we act out, that we react. But we know that that's a deflection, right? Man, it's time to step up. So it needs to be continuous, right? Continuous throughout. You check on your partner. You good? You good? It's all good? But it's not just verbal, right? It can just be like picking up on cues. You know, if she's happy, she smiles. If her nonverbal cues you that everything is okay, it's okay. But if you see fear in their eyes, if they're stiffening up, check in on them. Be aware of outside your own freaking bubble. And consent, boys and girls, and everybody in between, can ask for it continuously. Like I said, just because you're married, just because you're in a relationship, does not mean that you have continuous forever consent for sex. It's not a duty. It is not a service. It is not a chore. It is a show of emotion. It is an exchange that is deep, or that should be deep, meaningful, and an exchange of yourself with another. But it should not be about getting off, satisfying a quick urge. That is a deep problem in our society. No one should have carte blanche to another individual. The only carte blanche you should have is with yourself. So what does this mean, right? And why should it be this way? We need a shift in our culture where our women, our vulnerable population, our children, whatever, should not have to live in a society where they're worried about being raped. And we should have a society where men can no longer be reckless with their choices. We need that balance. Instead of saying she shouldn't have been dressed like that, she shouldn't have been showing so much skin, we should be calling out those that are staring, catcalling, and being, you should not act like that. We should be turning the blame, because nothing irks me more than like driving or walking somewhere and I see a man walking down the street and he's bare chested. And that's normalized. But a woman breastfeeding her baby is inappropriate. There's so much fucked up stuff in our society. And it's all because it's sexualized. Why is a woman breastfeeding sexualized? Why is it that when we see a teenager dressed with short shorts and a tank top, we send her back home because we're distracting the boys? That means you are enabling and normalizing the boy's behavior, and you are shaming the girl who needs to feel cool. Not cool like I'm cool. Cool like it's so freaking hot, I am dying. I've only now started to wear shorter shorts. Now I'm 44 because I don't give a shit what people think about me anymore. And I would laugh if somebody came to me and say that I was dressed inappropriately. I would laugh in their face. And like, Because for me, it would be the funniest thing. Okay, so men as a gender species need to learn to strengthen their resolve. They need to learn to rein in their impulses, right? They need to be able to be in the face of temptation and say no, right? They need to be able to walk away from dark desires that are wrong. They need to learn how to be able to do that. We need to start putting that burden on them. That's how we make our society safer, right? Now in Canada, that's going to be my next part.